I wanted to share with you my lessons after living in 11 different countries. Now, this is from an article, so I'm an article I posted on LinkedIn. So if you see me looking down, that's because I'm going to be reading it to you. But this is basically about in my life, I've lived and worked in 11 different countries so far, and I've learned some, I think, interesting life lessons that I want to share with you that I hope will be interesting to you and relevant to you. So I'm just going to read you out some of these things. So far in my life, I've lived and worked in 11 different countries: the UK, Romania, Japan, Germany, Spain, Portugal, the Czech Republic, Hungary, India, Italy, and Albania, which is where my wife and I stayed earlier this year. So aside from the UK, where I was brought up and I've lived for the majority of my life, and I'm now settled in Sheffield, I've lived in the other countries for periods of time ranging from 2 years to about a month. And in each case, I've been working as well as enjoying the different countries, so it hasn't just been for a holiday. I've obviously taken holidays as well, but I've been working while I've been in all these different places. I've been working mainly online, but also, for example, as an assistant teacher in Japan on the JET program and helping with a volunteering teaching program in Romania, both as a teacher and helping to run it around the time I was at university and just after. My wife Nisha and I run one of the biggest LinkedIn groups for people who are either already experiencing or who are interested in a location independent or digital nomad lifestyle. And if you're interested in a digital nomad lifestyle, then please check out that group and please look it up. We're now based mainly in one place, as I said, Sheffield, but we still encourage other people to think about this lifestyle. And Albania, where we've been recently, was really fascinating. So these are my thoughts. I've got 5 main thoughts to share with you. The first one is that people are similar everywhere. The more you travel, the more you realise how people everywhere are fundamentally the same. Whatever their religious beliefs, their particular code of ethics, or their jobs, the majority of people want the same things. They want things like peace and safety, a good life for themselves and their family, and a sense of meaning and purpose in the things that they do. So say those things again: peace and safety, a good life for themselves and their family, and a sense of meaning and purpose in the things that they do. So there's amazing people everywhere, all over the world. At least that's my experience. So I've had strangers in a train in Romania share with me all the food and drink they had with them, and we just met and we didn't even really speak the same language. And then they even bought us more food, bought themselves more food, and bought some for me and just gave it directly to me through the window while we're at a station. And it was only because I was sharing a carriage with them and I had less with me than they did. In India, our landlord took us on multiple, all day, all expensive paid road trips to do things that I couldn't have dreamed of, from meeting royalty to holding a baby turtle at a sanctuary. And the most I was ever allowed to buy him in return was a couple of ice creams. And there are less amazing people everywhere too, so it's not just that there's good people, of course. From disagreeable people you rent accommodation from, to unhelpful people at ticket offices, to people pushing in at ticket offices, and many, many, many other things. Every country has a share of helpful and unhelpful people. And of course, we can all be both unhelpful or helpful ourselves sometimes in the same day. Although people are similar, my second point is that the cultural differences are fascinating and educational. So the differences between different countries are so interesting. Quite often people will do the same thing as you, but for different reasons than you thought. So sometimes the differences can lead to unintentional hilarity. In Japan, for example, if you go to a traditional restaurant, you change into slippers when you arrive. And in fact, I wore slippers every day when I was teaching. I would drop off my shoes from often cycling into work, and there'd be a little place to pick up my slippers. I'd put my shoes away, I'd wear slippers all day. But at the restaurants, you change into slippers at arrival, and then when you go to the toilet at the restaurant, this is only a traditional restaurant, there's new slippers to change into just for that. But of course, foreigners sometimes forget to take off the toilet slippers when they go back to their meal, and the toilet slippers sometimes have an actual picture of a toilet on them, so it's quite embarrassing. The third point I want to make is that although being a cultural outsider can be hard, it can give you special things as well. So there's times when you're living in a foreign country, and I'm sure you've had this living or just if you travelled abroad for any length of time. If you're living there or have travelled there and you don't speak the language, in a certain situation you're not getting anywhere. That can be frustrating. And there's times when you're fed up of being stared at or feeling that nothing will ever be familiar to you. And there are many other times, however, and for me these are in the majority, very luckily for me that I've experienced these in the majority, well, by dint of being an outsider, you're actually treated as extra special. The times when you're invited into the homes of other people for no reason other than the fact that they want you to learn about their culture and they want you to be happy. The times when people go out of their way to introduce you to things in their countries that they think you will like. The joy in the faces of people when you show an interest in their culture at all. And the excitement of other people when they haven't seen many people like you before. So I've been asked for my autograph, I pose for photos. People, especially if you go to a place that doesn't have many visitors and not many foreigners come there, but can be really excited about seeing someone who's different from them. And that's lovely. Number 4 is that there's never been a better time to get out and see the world. Okay, I'm not talking about right now, because some people are in lockdown, travel is restricted in all sorts of ways. But in general, however, the world is open like never before if you are lucky enough to have a passport that lets you to access it. And of course, having that passport is important. I'm not saying that everybody has the same opportunities. I'm lucky enough to grow up in a country where I've had those opportunities and I have that passport. But if you have a passport that allows you to travel to a decent amount of other places, the world is your oyster in a way that it has probably never been before in human history. So I'm not from an affluent background myself, and in the past, people like me would never have had the opportunity to see the things I've seen or to do the things that I've done. And I'm very, very grateful that I live at a point in history when it's possible for me to do these things. And like I've done, you can try the life of a digital nomad, meaning that you work at the same time as you travel. And many more people have been thinking in the past year about working for themselves. Many more people have tried working remotely, and many people have thought deeply about what freedom means to them, and this is one way that you can achieve it. My 5th and final point is that you can have an adventure wherever you are. Were there times when I was stuck in a rut, even in an incredible and exciting new country like Japan? Absolutely. There were days when I did things that I couldn't even have imagined, enjoying a tea ceremony in my school, and I tried both a Japanese and a Chinese tea ceremony, attend a sumo tournament, go to a meeting early in the morning in Tokyo and see the sun coming up over Mount Fuji between the skyscrapers. And there were other times when I cycled to school along the same route I always did, when the song of the cicadas was background noise rather than novel, when I taught my lessons without my usual enthusiasm, and when even the technologically advanced bath in my small apartment, which spoke to me when I needed to be careful about the temperature of the water, seemed humdrum. Travel can certainly make your life more exciting, but one of the ways it does that is to shake you up and awaken you again to the possibilities of the new. In reality, you can have an adventure wherever you are. For example, for the first 21 years of my life, Brighton was the centre of my world, and everything about it felt familiar. Now, every time I go there, there's a freshness about it, and by exploring it as an adult with my wife, I've seen it with new eyes. Even when your life is restricted in various ways, like now in this pandemic, there are new adventures to be had. During the lockdown, like many people, I certainly got to explore my local area in all sorts of ways I would never otherwise have done. So finally to say, good luck with your own adventures, and I hope some of my insights were interesting. I'd love to hear some of yours, and thank you for taking the time to watch.